the yoga of mind control. So 2 levels the Krishna talks about the yogis based on their internal disconnection. One is yoga arurukshu, beginner. For such a beginner, work is said to be the mean. So they are working through yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahara, they are working. And for an advanced yoga arudha, antaranga yoga, they are cessation of work is said to be the means. So they are focusing internally. So focus, meditation, and complete absorption, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi is their practice. And why? What is the whole purpose of yoga? Like yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha, we understood. So mind is the main theme. If you control it, it's your best friend. If not, it's your worst enemy. And the characteristic of such a person, of an advanced soul, advanced practitioner, advanced yogi, in terms of they are equal to their situations, objects, and people in their life. Then very beautifully we saw Krishna summarize the entire Ashtanga Yoga process, right? Words by words we saw. Of course, it is not a literal one-to-one mapping. There will be some overlap in these verses. So you cannot take this mapping that we made here to be in the literal sense, but it's near about same. Like it's predominantly yama, predominantly asana, predominantly again samadhi here, and so on, right? And we saw what is needed to steady one's practice: tapas, svadhyaya, and ishwar pranidhana, determination, faith, control over senses, and conviction of intelligence. These things you cannot part with, right? And when the mind is unsteady, bring it back, right? And we saw more parallels with the last sutra of Yoga Sutras. We draw parallels with 27th verse, right? Then what is the end result? That one becomes a Samadarshi, same as what we discussed in the last chapter. The same Samadarshi with equal vision was able to see the super soul in all. And more so, in this chapter, one step ahead, we understood that super soul that one is seeing is indeed Krishna, right? And then Arjuna's, he expresses dilemma, 2 dilemmas. He hearing all the Ashtanga process, he was like, oh no, Krishna, it's impractical and unendurable. I cannot do it because my mind is restless. He says, no, Arjuna, with practice and detachment, abhyasa and vairagya, right, you will be able to steady your mind. Don't worry about that. Then his other dilemma was, what happens if I'm like this riven cloud? I just get lost. Will I get lost as an unsuccessful yogi, as a yoga brashta? No. First thing that will happen is you will get the result of your yoga practice. You will enter your spiritual practice. You will go to a higher planet, live a very happy, successful life there. And then when you descend back into the earthly planet, you will either be born in an aristocratic family where you don't have to worry about your daily necessities of life. You can start focusing on your spiritual goal. Or 2, you'll be born in a transcendentalist family, spiritualist family, where right from your childhood, you can resume your spiritual journey, because that spiritual consciousness and environment is there, favorable environment is there for you to practice, right? Then he concludes with who's the best yogi, because a yogi is better than an ascetic, an empiricist, and a fruitive worker. Therefore, always be a yogi, Arjuna, Krishna is saying. So yogi means find your balance. Find your balance with all aspects of your life. Don't try to give up things, but try to engage in things with this balance. The entire progression from 3rd to 6th chapter is about yukti. Yukti means, the word yoga also, Krishna used the word yukti. Yukti means united with something. Yeah, in partnership with something, in connection with something. So what is this connection we are talking about? Connection between our spiritual self and our material self, our spiritual existence and our material existence. Learn to harmonize these things. So yoga is all about harmony, and the yogi is all about balance, harmony, and equanimity. That he says. And what is the success of a yogi? Who's the best yogi? Who's the most successful yogi? One who is intimately united with Krishna, one who is remembering Krishna. And that remembrance, how it happens, we're going to see in 7th to 12th chapter. And we saw this very beautiful, this chart kind of like summarizes what Krishna originally intended for Arjuna in the 2nd chapter, right? The very nice systematic progression, how he took the understanding of Buddhi Yoga across the stages, from first plain Karma Yoga, then Karma Yoga, blended with Jnana Yoga. Then strengthening them together, right? At the Nishkama Karma Yoga stage. Then adding the tools of Dhyana Yoga. So one is equipped to unwaveringly remember Krishna. So, right. So that is the progression of this chapter. So that brings us about to the end of the first module of our course, the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, which are mainly because these are all involving work. You know, we are doing something constantly. I'm taking Karma Yoga, I'm adding Jnana Yoga to it, I'm strengthening it, and I'm learning meditation. So there's always some work involved. Therefore, this entire module is in itself called as Karma Yoga section. So from next class onwards, we'll take up to the theme of Bhakti Yoga, which is the middle part, the middle part of the yoga ladder, the yoga process that Gita is talking about from chapter 7 to 12, which is going to talk about Krishna, and that will help us remember the absolute truth. Understand the absolute truth first, and when there is proper understanding, remembrance naturally follows. All right. Thank you all very much.